Welcome back to Congress Unpacked, where Congress speaks and we break it down for you. In a recent appropriations hearing, Senator John Kennedy grilled Commerce Secretary Lutnick with tough questions about trade. Let's get into what really happened. First up, the reciprocity test. Kennedy posed a simple scenario. If Vietnam dropped all its tariffs and barriers, would the US do the same? Lutnick was blunt. Absolutely not. He argued Vietnam's trade isn't just about Vietnam. It's a backdoor for Chinese goods flooding into America. We buy $125 billion from them, but they buy far less from us. So, Lutnick says, that's not true reciprocity.
If Vietnam, for example, came to you tomorrow and said, okay, Mr. Secretary, you win. We're going to remove all tariffs and all trade barriers. Would the United States please do the same? Would you accept that deal?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. That would be the silliest thing we could do.
Why is that?
Vietnam has a $125 billion exports to us and imports from us $12.5 million. And you're thinking, Vietnam exports $125 billion?
I'm aware of the figures, but tell me
But where
why
do they get it from? They buy $90 billion from China, then they mark it up and send it to us.
So you
They're
wouldn't
just a
you wouldn't-
pathway of China to us.
You wouldn't accept that deal.
No, it's a terrible deal. We're the one with money. We're the one with the
then
store.
what's
Of
the
course they
pur-
want.
Kennedy pushed. If reciprocity isn't the goal, what is? Lutnick's answer? It only counts when both sides are actually trading their own stuff. Kennedy kept pressing. Does the administration even believe in reciprocity? Lutnick clarified. The US wants it, but only when it makes sense. If reshoring important goods like medicine is a priority, reciprocity takes a back seat. If Vietnam ever stopped acting as a channel for Chinese products, then maybe true reciprocity would be on the table. Until then, America's got to look out for itself.
What's the purpose of reciprocity then? Is reciprocity not one of your goals? Are you telling the president that we shouldn't seek reciprocity? If that's what you're telling him, why are you trying to do these trade deals?
What do we want? We want to encourage Vietnam to produce products they're great at producing.
But I want to get back to reciprocity. You just said you don't believe in it. You don't accept reciprocity as a goal. What are you negotiating in these trade deals?
Why would we open our bank account and their bank account when ours is 10 times bigger?
Why are you negotiating trade deals? You're trying to get other countries to lower their tariffs and trade barriers in return for us lowering ours.
That's true for the things that they'll take from us.
That's called reciprocity.
Of course.
So are you or are you not seeking reciprocity in these trade deals?
We are absolutely seeking reciprocity with respect to things that can be reciprocal.
But you just said,
but when they're importing from China and sending it to us, they're not.
You just said that if a country came to you and offered you the ultimate reciprocity, no tariffs, no trade barriers, in return for us doing the same, you would reject that.
Of course, because they buy from China and send it to us. Don't you agree with me?
Suppose they said we won't buy from China.
Now we're talking. If it was Vietnam,
would you accept that deal?
We would consider it. For what things? For
what
products?
Would you want to change?
Well, there are certain products we want to reshore. We don't want other people making them. We want to make pharmaceuticals here.
Right.
We need to protect ourselves for certain things.
Next, Sen Kennedy asked, are trade deficits always a problem? Lutnick said no. Imagine a country invents a cure for cancer. We'd buy it, run a deficit, and that'd be totally fine. The real red flag is when we import things we could be making at home. That's when deficits get dangerous.
Are trade deficits, are you advising the president that trade deficits are always bad in every situation?
No.
Okay. When are trade deficits good?
Trade deficits, for instance, let's say there was a company that had the cure for cancer. Let's call it Cancer Cure. And we were buying it and it was located in another country. We would obviously have a trade deficit with them because they have the only one of it. An example, our technology companies, our great technology companies, we're the only ones with it.
So a trade deficit is okay if they're products we really need.
If they're the only ones with it and we can't do it, then of course it's fine. But if we can do it, then we darn well better think about whether we're supposed to do it and whether we want to do it, and if it's in our interest as a country to do it.
Kennedy then tested Lutnick on trade law, specifically Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act. Lutnick admitted he didn't know the title, but did know the law. Kennedy asked why not use that law instead of others. Lutnick said the president wanted a faster, broader approach to America's $1.2 trillion deficit. Finally, Kennedy brought up the major questions doctrine. Lutnick said he knew the case content, but not the legal jargon, which left Kennedy unconvinced.
Tell me your understanding of the Trade Expansion Act.
I don't have a really good understanding of the term. I may know the act, but I may not know its title.
You're not familiar with the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 that gives the president almost unlimited authority to impose tariffs so long as you conduct an investigation? You don't know about that?
Oh, my 232s, of course I do.
Okay.
Sorry, I just didn't know the title of the plan, but of course I know.
Why didn't you advise the White House instead of proceeding under other statutes? Why didn't you advise the White House to proceed under the Trade Expansion Act?
The president chose IEPA because he could do it swiftly and he could do it sweeping in order to address the underlying problems that had created the $1.2 trillion trade deficit that was haunting the United States of America.
Have you read the opinion in VOS selections, VUS?
I have.
What role does the major questions doctrine play in that decision?
I am not a lawyer, so I can't speak to it with that kind of precision. That's a litigation that's under current investigation.
Are you familiar with the major questions doctrine?
Not offhand, but I did, of course, read the decision.
Well, about 3/4 of the opinion is on the major questions doctrine.
Again, I tend to not know the title. I know the topic and the details of it, but I tend not to focus on titles. Sorry.
I'm way over. Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Kennedy, thank you. Senator Shaheen.
Bottom line, Kennedy's questions exposed a real tension in U.S. trade policy. Should we chase fair deals or just protect American industry? Lutnick's answers were practical, if a bit slippery. That's today's breakdown. If you want more straight talk from Congress Unpacked, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.